Hey everyone, welcome to this pick a card reading. So, the reading's going to be like, what do I have to look forward to? And it's going to be a very, very positive reading. Just like looking into the energies present in you and perhaps how you can become aware of maybe something you haven't seen and really like leverage that awareness into a space that you want to be creating for yourself. So it's going to be really positive, and it's going to be looking at like what's the good things that are coming, and how can we like shift our focus onto those things. So keep in mind, tarot is always just basically I'm reading what's going on for you right now, and that can always change, and that's kind of the power of tarot. So if we become aware of something, or we're aware of something that's blocking us, it really doesn't have to take very long for that to shift, and for us to find a totally new energy that's really supporting us. So definitely stay positive no matter what in life. We never know what's around the corner for us, truly. So I have 3 groups from you. Starting on the left hand side of the screen is pile 1, middle is pile 2, and the right hand side of the screen is pile 3. So take your time to choose, and I will list the timestamps below, and then I will see you for your reading, honeys. Bye. Hey there, group 1. Okay, so get this pom-pom out the way. It's a wattle blossom. So these are your oracle cards. So we have Porcupine Spirit, time for a beginner mind. I just realized you can see the chips on my nail polish, but oh well. Divine Mother manifests. Wow, that's really cool. And we have the Lovers. My goodness. The Lovers, the Queen of Pentacles, the Tower. My gosh, some stuff been going on for you guys. And the Queen of Wands. Okay, so we've got double Queen energy here. Let me just arrange this so it's nice, and so we can see all the energies here. Okay. I feel like I need to get a few more cards. I'm going to get some from this goddess deck. And, okay. Inner Goddess, Aphrodite. Awaken the goddess within you through dance, self-care, and appreciating your divinity. Okay, so we've got a lot of divine feminine energy right now, or right here. And it seems pretty clear to me. Okay, I'm just going to take a seat so I can channel without getting all breathless and like worked up. Oh, okay, so I'm seeing that there's just been, it might have been, the Tower moment might have been something that is like a little bit in the past, like a little bit distant in your distant past. But it's definitely something from this year I'm feeling. But I feel like a lot of us have had Tower moments in 2020. And basically what I'm experiencing from this energy is that you're still in this process of integrating the lesson. And there may be this kind of tendency to like hold on to what was, even though it doesn't exist anymore. And that can be a very challenging kind of like leap to make. And the image that I'm seeing is like the image I'm getting is like when there's a river crossing and it's like stones across a river, and we have to make this like big leap from one stone to the next, and it can look like it's really far away, and maybe we even like begin to make that leap, and then we get paralyzed halfway, and like one foot's on the new stone and one foot's on the old stone, and we're like, oh my gosh, how am I ever gonna like get anywhere, because we can't go back because there's no point, but it feels terrifying to go forward as well. Or we can't go back because there's nothing for us on the other side of the river, and we know we have to move to the next side of the river, but it's so painful to say goodbye to what was. So I'm seeing that there's been a tendency for you to be a little bit harsh with yourself about this transition, and maybe you've like stopped caring for yourself in certain ways, like maybe just like not really taking care of yourself sometimes, or maybe allowing yourself to like kind of suppress emotions and not being loving towards yourself in those emotions. So this is really common in general, but I just feel like there's this need for you to bring this nurturing mother to yourself and kind of bring this energy of parenting yourself right now, because we've got two queens. The Queen of Pentacles is she's a nurturer. The Queen of Wands she's more fiery and expressive and sort of more creativity and sexuality, but she's also fierce, and she knows when to put up boundaries with people and not let them like walk all over her, But we also have Divine Mother manifest, and I'm feeling like you are manifesting something in your life right now, and it's pretty amazing, and you know that. And there will get to this point where you have to make a choice with the Lovers. The Lovers is ultimately about making a choice, and we'll look into love too, but right now, the way that I'm reading it right now is like there's going to be this point in your manifestation where you have to make a decision, and you just have to go 100% into that. Like there's no point having one foot on one side of the river and one foot on the other side of the river, because you'll just be doing this splits that's very uncomfortable. So it's time to move to this new energy and to know that what you have awaiting you is very gentle, and it's very loving, and it's very like nurturing and nourishing energy. And I'm picking up that there's been this like harshness in your criticism towards yourself a little bit, like being very like scientific about things, or very like analytical or numerical about judgment of yourself, like maybe like, well, I haven't worked out for 6 hours this week, as in your goal was to work out for 6 hours a week but you haven't done it, like being very numerical or categorical, or like I've gained 1.5 kilograms, or you know what I mean. And the Divine Feminine, she doesn't work like that. She doesn't abide by those rules. She's wild, she's untamed, and she works with energy of what is in the moment, and she trusts the process. And the Divine Feminine is darkness, it's the darkness of not being able to see where you are or what you're doing or where you're going, but having a faith that is so intuitive and it's so deep inside of you that you know that this is the only thing that you can follow in life, not externalizing any of it. And that's what the masculine does, and there's nothing wrong with that. But right now we're in a time of darkness. We're in a time of the Divine Feminine, and we must trust her magic and her mystery. And when we try to get too focused on external values like numbers, or like proof, like the list of things of the reasons why you can't have something or you do have something, like we're actually blocking the magic of the Divine Feminine. And it's scary in that darkness, right? Because the darkness is what we can't see where we're going. We don't know. And as I'm channeling right now, I'm channeling with my eyes closed, and it feels so natural, and I'm really liking it. Because it's like, this is the energy of 2020. We all basically have our eyes closed, and in that we have our eyes wide open. It's the paradox of closing our eyes. We get to see better. We see what's really going on. We can perceive energy more clearly. We won't get deceived by smoke and mirrors in our face, right? So time for a beginner mind as well. It's really asking you to embrace a new way of being, and that is through surrendering control and recognizing that through that surrender, you will be able to create everything you want. And when we try to control, we really just get in our own way and we trip over ourselves. And in the darkness, it's easy to find things to trip over, I'm telling you. It's really easy. So for some of you, I'm picking up that you want partnership or love, and that's so beautiful and relevant and understandable. But there's a need for you to find a strong and secure source of love inside of yourself in order to magnetize that lover to you. And part of what blocks you from really surrendering into that love that you know is inside of you, and you do have a strong connection to your own love and your own source of love and your own source of divine love. But what blocks that sometimes for you is a bit of a lack of acceptance of who you are or how you are. And we all have, like, I truly believe we all struggle with this in different ways. And we all struggle with this for different reasons. And really I'm picking up that with this inner goddess, awakening the goddess within you through dance, self-care and appreciating your divinity, sacral chakra, there's something about not being accepting of your sexuality or not being accepting of your emotionality or not being accepting of your actual body in some way, maybe struggling with issues with weight, as in issues that you perceive as an issue. So maybe there's not actually an issue, but you just think there is. But one thing, again, the message coming through really strongly is to let go of control. And with weight stuff, it's kind of like it's a pretty common area that I think a lot of us try to control through our own beliefs around what is the best way to eat or what is the best way to not eat, whatever one. And I think so much of what will set you free right now is to like let go of control. And I know that sounds scary because especially with weight stuff, and I'm just going to use this as a metaphor now because it's an easy one and you can apply this to any situation you feel like you're hyper controlling of. But say we're trying to lose weight or something and we're like, right, I have to control what I eat all the time and I have to make sure it's like this or not like this. When we are in that place of control, usually things get more and more out of control. Maybe we find ourselves eating more chocolate and cake and all these things we're telling ourselves not to eat, even though we're telling ourselves not to eat it, and we find ourselves eating more of it. So it can become a very counterintuitive thing. And this is, I think, perhaps the point that some of you have gotten to. And that's totally fair. And if it's not around food or weight, then maybe it's around relationships or your career or something. But basically, like, letting go of control is the like ticket to freedom. It is, because when you let go of control and you're like, right, I'm just gonna eat whatever I want whenever I want and leave it at that and trust my body and eat intuitively. And sure, it might be a little while before you get to that perfect balance of your intuitive eating because you've not listened to your intuition for a long time, right? And whether this is with food or not. For example, we eat beyond the point where we're full and we don't listen to our body telling us to stop, or we don't eat when our body's telling us that it needs something to eat and we just deny it that. So when we've gone against our own intuition with this stuff for a long time, it can be a little bit of a journey of getting that equilibrium back. But ultimately, letting go of control, or maybe it's letting go of one of your child's weight. Like maybe you have a child who's gained weight and you feel concerned because you're like, well, what if they get bullied, or what if they're unhappy, or, you know, what am I doing to contribute to this, or what, blah, blah. Let it go. Let it go. It is perfect the way it is. And when we can let go of trying to control something, we actually allow it the room to change organically, naturally. But when we're constantly telling the story that it has to change, that it's not okay the way that it is, we often just block the energetic space for things to shift, because the energetic space is calling for acceptance. It's calling for us to accept the way things are, to accept who we are, to accept how we are, whether that's your sexuality or whether that's your body weight. Accept it right now, in this moment, and let go of the battle. Let go of the fight of trying to make it something that it's not. In that space, you know, people call it surrender, but actually I think it's more a space of, like, because surrender, it sounds very like, It sounds very like high vibe, right? It's like, oh, I've surrendered into spirit. But it feels a lot more like giving up. And that feels shit sometimes, right? But that's what it kind of is. It's like, okay, this diet I'm doing is not working. I'm gaining weight even though I'm trying to lose weight. Okay, I give up. I give up. I give it up. I'm stopping. I don't care. I accept my body as it is right now. And I accept that I'm going to eat what I want when I want, and I'm going to listen to my body now. That can feel scary, because it can bring up the fear of, if I let go of control, that means I'm going to gain weight uncontrollably. And that's not true. Actually, you trying to control your weight is probably what's contributing to the weight gain in the first place. And when we surrender resistance to what is, we actually create an energetic space for things to shift. Because things can't change if we're constantly like, it's so annoying, but if we're like, I want this thing, and it can only happen if it's this one thing, we create scarcity, and we create resistance to what is. It's like, recently, I'll tell you an example. Recently, you might have heard in the intro, recently I've just been approved for a new home, but in the 2 weeks leading up to that approval, it's funny, approval is an interesting word. In the 2 weeks leading up to that, I was applying for houses, I was going to inspections, I was doing all this work, and I was putting all my focus and energy. And I started to get into this energy of like, I have to have a new home. Like, I can't stay where I am. This is unbearable. I'm not happy. And I started to create so much resistance to where I was right now and who I was right now. And in that resistance, it's like I was actually blocking the freedom for things to change. I was blocking a new home coming in because I wasn't okay with how things were. And from a perspective of spirit or from God, everything's showing up for us in order for, it's all a conspiracy of love. Like, everything's showing up for us in order for us to love ourselves more. Like, it is. Even though it feels hard and it feels frustrating and we might throw tantrums here and there, it's all here for us to love ourselves more. So if there's a home situation that you're struggling with, can you find acceptance with it so that the new home can appear? And it's not about saying, I'm accepting what is right now so that this new home can come. No, and that's what I think we get wrong, because it's about like giving up. It's like, okay, I've done everything I can, and this was the point I got into right before I got approved for this house. I was like, right, I give up. I've put in all the applications I can. I've done all this energy and effort towards this thing. I feel tired. I feel like like distraught that this thing isn't showing up for me, and I was like, I just give up. Like, I've done everything I can. Like, I give up. And I'll make peace with where I am. And if I have to live here for another few months or whatever, I will. And I'll make the best of it. And I started to orient my attention to where I was right now. And I started to say, okay, I'm going to just decide what it is that I need to change in my life right now. And even if it's not a new home, and even if I can't have that right now, how can I accept this? How can I be okay with this? How can I still show up for myself right now? And guess what? The very next day I got the phone call for the house saying, hey, we like your application, come check it out. And it was the home of my dreams, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, what? And I knew that if I hadn't had that energetic shift, I would have still been in this energy of like repelling my opportunities away from me. And this is the key, I think, with surrendering and letting go of control, is that letting go often feels like absolutely giving up, and it feels heartbreaking. It feels heartbreaking. Like, if it's about your weight, right? It's like accepting that you've gained however much weight you've gained, and give it up. Like, give up the struggle, give up the unworthiness, give up the I need to change before I can find love. No, let it go. Accept what is right now. Know that you are enough right now. There is nothing you could do to make you more worthy of love. It's all in your mind. It's all a perception. And you're not seeing yourself clearly anyway, and you know that. Because I know that you look in the mirror at different points in the day and you feel differently about yourself. Different angles you catch, you feel differently about yourself. That's not seeing the whole. That's not seeing all of you, and that's not seeing yourself clearly. So give it up. Give up looking at yourself in the mirror when you walk down the street and there's a mirror there or a window reflection. Don't look at yourself. When you walk past and you feel the urge to check out your thighs or check out your tummy or your arms or whatever, don't look. Say in your head, I love and approve of myself. I love and approve of myself. I love and approve of myself. Now, I know it can feel terrifying because I've been there before and I'm still going through it at different times, like I just shared. But we have to let go for things to change, and it sounds like the scariest thing to do, especially maybe it's our child's weight, right? And our child's gaining weight. How do we let go? How do we surrender that attachment to that? The attachment to the story of, but if they gain weight more, they're going to get bullied, or they're going to be unhappy, or they're not going to be confident. Give it up. It's not true. It's a story you're telling yourself. Give it up. Allow the energetic space for things to change organically, naturally. And it won't be through you going in and controlling your child's weight or diet and saying, you can't eat this, you have to eat that. That's not acceptance. So give it up. Accept your child in the weight that it is right now. And know that they are loved unconditionally and that you love them unconditionally. And when you reflect that to your child, they can make their own decisions about their food. But maybe part of their weight is not feeling accepted by you. And like I said, everything's here in a conspiracy of love. You know, we're all wanting to love ourselves more, and our higher self wants us to love ourselves more and love each other more. So if a child's showing up with gaining a lot of weight, well, how can you make sure that child feels loved more and feels acceptance for who they are and knows that they are loved unconditionally? Okay, I really hope that made sense for people. Divine Mother Manifest is also telling you how powerful your manifestation powers are, even if you don't believe in them. And how we actually are affirming things and creating them in our life. Like if you're constantly looking in the mirror and being like, oh my gosh, my arms are so fat. Well, guess what? Your arms are going to look fat to you. It doesn't matter whether this person here says they are or this person here says they aren't. You're still going to see them as fat because that's what you are affirming to yourself every day. But if you look in the mirror and you say, oh my gosh, I love my sexy body. I love the way my waist goes in, or my hips are round. I love the shape of my breasts, or I love the shape of my shoulders. Constantly affirming things you love about yourself, and even sculpting a little bit what you like about your body, or what you would like your body to feel like in your body, and through that, embodying that. Looking in the mirror and being like, I love this. And I know it's not easy sometimes. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. But the point is that you are a powerful manifestor, and you are at a point in your vibration now. Your vibration is so high that you will be manifesting a lot quicker than what might feel comfortable for you, right? So our words have a lot of power, and sometimes we have to be aware of things we just say nonchalantly that actually come back to bite us. And one of those things is, for example, I have fat arms, or I've always struggled with my weight. Okay, well, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what you're creating now. Do you see? So start to become aware of the ways that you talk about yourself, or the ways that you affirm things things have always been like this, or I've always struggled with this. Is that true? Can you let that go? Can you let that story go now? Can you step into a new form, a new vibration? Can you recognize that in surrendering control, you're actually inviting in freedom? And there is a really strong message around accepting your body the way that it is. And honoring your body the way that it is. And sometimes when we have tower moments in our life, like, we look for external things as like an anchoring point or a grounding point. And maybe food has become that for you a little bit, like you reach for the food so that you feel more grounded or more safe, protected. And Spirit's asking you to become aware of that, to have so much gentleness and love and unconditional compassion for yourself in that. Not trying to change that, but to be aware of it, so that you can be aware of all the other choices that you have available to you in every moment. So even if it's just one thing that I do a lot for myself is something called urge surfing. And I learned this in therapy, and basically it's like when the urge comes up to do something, like something that we know we don't really want to do, but it's like a triggering thing we kind of go into when we feel like vulnerable or something, to be like, okay, I'm not going to do that until this time. Like, maybe be like, okay, I'm allowed to, I'm allowed to, I don't know how to use an example, like I don't know, like I'm allowed to smoke cigarettes, but I have to wait until, like, I'm, like, you might, okay, so, it's so hard. Okay, so if it's like the trigger comes up and you're like, oh, I just need a cigarette right now, for example, then instead of just allowing yourself to have the cigarette in that moment, you say, okay, I'm allowed to have the cigarette in 1 hour time. And then the hour might come and you might recognize that you've had all this period of time where you've been able to sit with things and things have settled down. You're like, okay, I'm not going to have a cigarette until 6 p.m. And then 6 p.m. comes and you're like, okay, I'm not going to have this until tomorrow. Or if it's about like buying cigarettes, like, I'm not going to buy cigarettes until the weekend. Okay, the weekend comes, I'm not going to buy cigarettes for another week, and then I'm allowed to. And it really works to like not create scarcity. Because if you're like, because it works the same way with like eating food, right? So it's like, okay, I'm gonna eat like a whole chocolate cake tomorrow instead of right now. You know what I mean? Then it works because we can recognize that we have a choice of not doing that, but we also not allowing ourselves to do it, So it's like, okay, I can binge eat, but tomorrow. Or I can binge eat, but not until the weekend. And then we might binge eat on the weekend, or we might not. But the point is that we've created more distance, and therefore we can access more of our choices in that time. And when we start to, like, it's like building a muscle. When we start to recognize, like, I don't have to give in to every trigger, every craving that I have. I can actually postpone that. Then I can see that I have all these options available to me in that time, and I can see my own power through my choices. So that's a really good thing to do, to not create scarcity, because scarcity makes us usually react in a rebellious way. And if we're saying, like, you have the urge to eat a whole chocolate cake, and then you're like, I'm not allowed to have chocolate cake ever, then usually what's really going to happen is that you want to eat the chocolate cake more and more and more. And then more than likely you will eat the whole chocolate cake eventually, because you've told yourself you can't ever have it. And that creates scarcity, which doesn't make us feel safe. But if you say, you know what, I have this urge all the time to eat a whole chocolate cake, and it seems pretty extreme, but you know what, I'm just going to tell myself that I can eat some chocolate cake every day. Then again, we're working with our experience of abundance. So it's like, why would you need to eat a whole chocolate cake if you can eat chocolate cake whenever you want? You might still choose that, that's fine. But if you can bring it into your life, if you can integrate it in a way that it's not scarce to you, it's not a scarce resource, and it doesn't make you want to consume as much of it as you can, right? Because it's like, it's like the thing of like, right, I'm going on a diet tomorrow, so today I can eat whatever I want, right? And it's scarcity, that's what's fueling it. Because if there wasn't a diet coming tomorrow, would you really be eating all that junk? Probably not. You might eat some of it, but you wouldn't have the same extent because there wouldn't be a scarcity triggering you. Scarcity is like a vibration. It gets under our skin and it makes us see the world in that way, but it's not true. Okay, so what have you got to look forward to, says group 1? A lot of new beginnings, and the new beginnings are going to happen in your mind. And this is a breakthrough I had recently, and it might resonate, it might not, but the breakthrough I had was like, I was like getting really into my head around my own weight. So I say all this from experience, you guys, but and I was like, you know what? And I was being really mean to myself and like calling myself fat sometimes and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I just had this like voice come into my head. It wasn't even me, it was spirit, like it was my higher self. And she was pissed. Nah, she was nice, but she was basically like, if you don't want to be fat, stop seeing yourself as fat. And that was it. And I was like, oh, yeah, actually makes a lot of sense. And it was like the way that it came in like a lightning bolt, you know, like it just blew my brain up, because I was like, of course. And everything is based on perception. Everything is based on perception. And that's like the power of our minds, I guess, and the way that we choose to see ourselves, and the way that we choose to talk to ourselves and narrate the story of our life really matters. And so I see you having a huge shift in that now, a huge shift in self-love, self-care, and seeing yourself as so valuable and so worthy of love and affection. And I really want you to do this practice of, like if it resonates with you, do this practice of whenever you have a mean attack thought against yourself, against the way you look, against your child, the way your child looks, anything like that, to say, I love and approve of myself. I love and approve of myself. And similarly, if you find yourself like picking at your skin or something like that, just stopping and saying, I love and approve of myself, and using that as like a shift in your vibration, using that affirmation, I love and approve of myself, to just like implant it into your brain at times where you might be going down a dark road, you know. Yeah, super important. Okay, so the final message is that, yes, I see love coming in for you guys, and funnily enough, I see it being quite a surprise for you with the tower being there, even though I feel the tower moment's already happened, but it's still anchoring down the lovers. And I feel like for you guys, it's going to come at a point where you're like feeling so good about yourself, and you're really like in your element, in your goddess energy. You've just manifested something for yourself that you want, whether that's a new home, a new job, a new anything, a new way of being in your body, a new way of seeing your body. And then you're just going to meet someone, you're going to be like, what? It's going to be really happy. And yeah, I'm seeing Gemini and Scorpio, so watch out for them. Alright, that's the end of the reading. I really hope it served you in some way, and I may have gotten a bit off track of the what do you have to look forward to, but I feel like the messages that came through were important. Alright, I send you so much love. Goodbye, group 1. Hey, group 2. How you doing? Okay, so let's take a look at your cards. Oh, koala spirit. Spirit has a plan. Spirit has a plan for you. Beyond the threshold of fear. The Empress. Oh, this is my favorite card ever. The Knight of Wands, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Fool. Ooh, wow, okay. The Fool is pretty big deal. Does that look okay? It looks okay. The Fool. Okay. And I'm going to pull one of these because I did for group 1, and I just feel like there's, I don't know, compassion Release judgments about yourself and others and focus on the love and light that is within everyone. Beyond the threshold of fear. Yeah. Because fear is... judgment is a form of fear. Sometimes, we don't realize how judgmental we're being of other people. Because we're just, used to how judgmental we are of ourselves. And that's kind of painful. I'm going to get one more card for you guys in this deck. Angel's deck. Guardian Angel. Okay. Spirit has a plan for you. Beyond the threshold of fear is you're really moving beyond definitely beyond something that you have known into an absolute space of unknown, especially with the Fool. The Fool is really about when we're walking along on a path and, the traditional depiction of the Fool is that he's taking a step over a cliff and he's about to go down, tumbling down. But his expression is so happy because he doesn't mind, because he's just so in the moment and so just yep, I'm on my path and I have no idea where I'm going, but I have faith and it's all good. And there's excitement and curiosity and the unknown, and how that's a blank canvas where it can be everything. We can create everything we want from that space. And yet, that space is also kind of like a void, right? Or a womb where there's darkness, or in a void there's nothingness. And maybe you've just gone through a period of your life where you've cleared a lot of space, so to speak, in your life, have had to let go of people, of commitments, of obligations. And I see you've really restructured a lot of the way that you are in relationship, and that's meant ending certain relationships, or just one in particular for some of you, like a romantic one. Now, the energy that I'm picking up that is really going to help you have this sort of quantum leap forward in your life is the energy of forgiveness, and really needing to, it's actually about really needing to forgive yourself, because that's, what I'm seeing is that you're holding energy towards a person or a group of people, or an old, maybe it's a boss who fired you, or it's someone you broke up with recently, or it's a friend you're no longer friends with, or a group of friends you're no longer friends with, something like that. You're holding energy towards these people in an energy of blame, and in an energy of kind of victimization, and that they're the perpetrators. But when we do that, we instantly then put ourselves on that polarity of victim perpetrator, and no one wins then. No one wins. And yes, there are very real experiences of victimization, and absolutely there is the existence of victims in a certain way, but at the same time, we can bring that lens into scenarios, and certainly into our own life, in a way that doesn't actually serve us. So forgiveness is nothing, sometimes there's nothing that can be done about it. We're just not ready to forgive, and that's fine. And it takes time, and there's no point being somewhere you're not, So it's not about that, it's not about rushing the process, but it's also about seeing how do I hold myself in an energy of unforgiveness by keeping the finger pointed at the other person and being it's your fault this happened, or I deserve an apology from you. And what would happen if you just apologized, even if it's their fault and they did the thing and it's not fair and they have to admit that they were in the wrong? What if you let go of that story and you just said that you're sorry? Maybe a miracle could happen, And it's not easy, and it's not an admission, certainly if someone has done something to you, it's not an admission that that was okay. But it's a taking responsibility of your side in that. It's a dance. Everything in life is a dance, you know, one step, two step, their step, your step. And it's easier, like it is. It's easier just to sit there and be like, it's their fault. They missed a step, or they stepped on my toes. But what about you? Like, and if you can't see a way that, you know, there's anything for you to apologize for in that situation, maybe there's not, but maybe then it's not about saying sorry and making peace from your side and acknowledging your responsibility, but it could instead be, do you really need to practice, or not practice, but to put yourself in their shoes for a minute? Again, I'm not saying it's easy to do this, especially when we hold a lot of energetic charge against somebody, but in order to move forward freely and for you to feel more life force energy available to you in this and every moment, I really feel like it's time to just surrender whatever hold this person or this group or this situation has on you, and to put it to rest. And I'm feeling like that for you is the vibration of forgiveness. And like I've already said, it might be about you reaching out and saying sorry, asking for peace or calling peace in to this situation and acknowledging your responsibility in being the creator of your own life, etc. Or if there's nothing for you to apologize and you really don't see that that would make any sense, then maybe it's about putting yourself truly, truly in their shoes, though. Not just in this situation being like, yeah, well, I can see that no. If you were them, if you were born as that person and you experienced everything they've experienced in life, and you only saw things through that person's belief system and through their lens and their biases of perception, and you saw yourself through their eyes in that moment, and what do you see? And how does it feel? Do you feel empathy for them? Can you feel that? Can you feel like, well, if I had had their life and this had happened to me and I'd been told this and this led to this and I was in this state of consciousness at this time, then I would have acted exactly the same way, because you would have. More than likely you would have. And that's a part of forgiveness, is seeing everyone as like extending our heart space to everyone. Truly though. And being like, you know what, if I'd had that life, maybe I would have done it exactly the same. And maybe you have in a different lifetime. Maybe you've done worse. We've all done worse and better at different lifetimes, of course. We're everything though. And, you know, I think now the more I speak about it, the more people know about this, but the practice of seeing everyone as one of your past lifetimes. And it's not really a past life because all the lifetimes are happening at once, but if it's easier to conceive of, then imagine everyone as one of your past lives, and then extend the same compassion that you would for yourself. Like, would you want mercy? Would you want compassion? Or would you want someone to, never forgive you or whatever? And just playing around with that energy, because ultimately it's to serve you. It's not about them. It's to serve you. It's to serve the letting go of whatever energetic tag or hold that the situation has for you, so that every time you see their name or you're triggered into it, it brings up this vibration or this energy, and it's turmoil and it's murky and it's tumultuous, and you don't like it. So it's time to pull the plug and drain it and let it go, and recognize that there is something that is still you're still holding on to about it. And I think it's about you haven't forgiven yourself, or you haven't forgiven that person. And again, forgiveness takes time, but the forgiveness energy is like not even necessarily being like, I truly forgive that you made this choice and it impacted me this way, but like sometimes it's also about, I choose peace right now. I choose peace. And peace doesn't look like raging at this person. Peace looks like finding some kind of compassion and being okay with what has happened and accepting it, and that's peace. Accepting that, look, it's not ideal, but it's happened. And I need to move forward in my life in a peaceful way where I'm not holding this against everyone else that I meet that's new, right? Because you've got the Fool, you've got all these new things coming in. And it's like, how sucky is it when people hold their past up against you and they just like force you to be that, or they only look through the lens of their history, you know, like like if you know, like someone who's like, people always cheat on me, and you just start dating them and you're like, wow, okay, cool, I guess, you know, it's a lot. So like the Fool is really giving you this opportunity to enter the void space and truly just letting go. Because I see you've been working really hard at your self-care, and you've really been taking care of yourself and like doing the most for yourself, and it's showing because you are freaking radiating love and self-love and self-care and self-respect, and like you're embodying the Empress energy, which is all the 4 queens put together, which is such a balanced and whole feminine energy. And even if you're a man watching this, you're still embodying the Empress energy, and trust me, it's pretty amazing. Like, you're lucky to be in the Empress energy, you know what I mean? Because the Emperor energy is powerful, but it's not as fertile as the Empress, you know? The Emperor is more like controlled and like willful, and the Empress is just like this fertile abundance thing that's just growing constantly and blossoming and just beautiful. Like, it's the kind of like energy where you just like, it takes your breath away, and this is what you're embodying right now, and it's incredibly attractive, and you're incredibly attractive to all kinds of people. And people can see as well, there's some kind of like visibility in terms of how hard you've been working, and people are really acknowledging your hard work and acknowledging that you're really improving in an area, in some kind of skill or some kind of workout routine. People are noticing, or people are being like, wow, you're really changing, like you're really confident, or you're really peaceful, or something. Like people are commenting on this growth that you're having in terms of your success and your mastery or self-mastery. And yeah, Spirit has a plan. I think as well, coming back to this judgment stuff, you know, sometimes we judge, like I said, sometimes we don't realize that we're being so judgmental for other people, because it's like almost this like way that we are with ourselves, where we're super judgmental and harsh towards ourselves. And sometimes we need a wake-up call about that, you know, and it's not easy. But like, with Spirit has a plan, koala spirit, it's basically the energy of like, well, who are you to say that this shouldn't have happened? Like, who are you to say that, or like, why do you believe that it shouldn't have happened? Or why do you believe that things shouldn't be exactly the way they are right now? And usually we'll have some stories that will come up, but ultimately, who are we to know? We are not God. We do not have God's vision or Spirit's sight. We have access to that, yes, but we are not that, you know? And while we're in our human form, we are kind of blind. Like, we're essentially blind to the magnitude and the fullness of who we are. And that's part of it. That's part of the plan. We're not meant to know everything. And yeah, what we can do with that knowing that we will never know everything, and that we will never see every part of the intricacy of why things happen the way they are. And we might have our human bias where we interpret things in negative ways, but it doesn't mean that that's how it is. And sometimes it takes years or decades before we can see, oh, this is why. And it comes later. The meaning of an event comes later. Like, we might look back at this time, 2020, in 20 years, and just be like, wow, of course it had to happen like that. Of course this was all happening the way it did, because it was there to love us, to teach us, to help us, to nourish us, to allow us to grow and to come to a new space of being all together. We can't see it right now. We're in darkness. We have our eyes shut. We don't know it. We're in the womb. We're giving birth to something. We haven't grown that awareness yet. We're still forming like a baby in the womb. We're not aware of ourselves yet, but there's meaning. There's still meaning. And there's meaning for everything that has happened. There's meaning for everything that you have created for yourself to experience in this life, because that is what you have done. And we get so tired because we create these human biases of negativity, and we interpret things through perceptions of failure or making mistakes, and it's not true. Let it go, it's not true. That's a story you're telling yourself, and it's not true. Release judgments about yourself and others and focus on the love and light that is within everyone. You know this place and you know this space and you know how it feels. You know how to get there. You do. But sometimes, like I keep saying this, sometimes we don't even know that we're judging people because it's so normal. And we're surrounded with people who will join in and we'll all become unconscious together in our judgments, in our proclamations of what is right. And how do we know? Like, you know, like for me, I recognized recently that I had this like judgment around vulnerability time. I had this judgment around like people getting plastic surgery, even though it was something that I wanted at one point in my youth. I'm still young, but in my like teenage years, it's something that I wanted. And I had to get really honest with myself about it and recognize that, you know, in a way it's like, it's just jealousy, you know, or it is, because it's somehow like, and what can okay, let's work with this energy. So if I'm jealous of people getting cosmetic surgery, but it's actually showing up as me judging them for it, well, what am I really jealous of? Because it's not like the breast implants and stuff, because I'm very clear in my values and my beliefs of what I want, but the judgment comes through the jealousy of they let themselves do what they want. I think that's what it is for me. This is interesting. I'm like literally working this out lifetime. It's like they let themselves do it. They're bold enough to do it. They're bold enough to change their face or to put lip fillers in or to to have surgery. They're bold enough to just do it and own it. And even though like when I was 17 or something, I really wanted like a nose job and all these kind of things, I would never have gone through with that because I would have been afraid of other people judging me for getting cosmetic surgery. Oh my gosh, what an amazing story. Like, this is amazing how this all links in. I'm just so recognizing this now. Yeah. So the judgment is people get, me judging people for getting cosmetic surgery. Really, that's jealousy. And really what I'm jealous of is people being brave enough to get cosmetic surgery even though people judge them for it, and then we're back at the judgment. How interesting. So this is what I mean about we don't even realize that we're being judgmental about things sometimes, because maybe we're like, we just say it in ways that are like super shady, you know what I mean? Like, well, you know, I have accepted my face the way that it is. And it's like, whatever, bro. Like, cool, good for you. Like, why are you proclaiming this for everyone to see? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can get so like self-righteous about it. Like, well, I wouldn't, like, well, I've accepted myself, so I wouldn't get a boob job. Or like, well, you know, I'm never going to be like the size of like a supermodel because I'm not going to starve myself. And it's like, whoa, that's jealousy actually, because it's judgment. And what are you really judgmental? What are you really judging? You know? What are you really jealous of? Sorry. When you find a judgment, what are you really jealous of? Is it actually that you want those things and you've made all these assumptions about how that has to happen? Like, you see a girl on Instagram who's like, you know, whatever, posting a bikini photo, and you're just like, well, I would never like starve myself to have a body like that. And it's like, well, maybe she doesn't. How do you know? You've just decided that. That's a story. Let it go. Also, don't look at Instagram photos like that if they trigger you. You don't need that in your life. You know what I mean? There's more to it, but this is the energy of judgment and jealousy. And judgment comes at the level of the throat chakra, and all it does is create insecurity for ourselves. So we might think that we're super comfortable sitting, you know, on our high horse and pointing out in the world and judging people for their choices, but honestly, all that does is create energy of judgment coming back towards us, and it reaffirms the belief in a judgmental world. And again, that's not true. That's just what you're creating right now. So it's not like I'm saying this is, like, I feel like this is in your past more so you were at times paralyzed with jealousy or with judgment. Like, you know, when people would, you know, get engaged or something and you were just like so jealous you couldn't be happy for them, or if someone got a really amazing scholarship or job, you were jealous instead of happy for them. And I know, because we've all been there, trust me, we've all been there, we're all human. But at the same time, the only thing that, like, you're jealous of something that you can have. That jealousy in a way is telling you that that's what you want. You know, if you're jealous of, you know, this girl posting bikini pics, well, maybe there's a part of you that wants to be able to do that, right? Or that wants to feel really confident in her body. Whatever the energy is, it might not be exactly that thing, you know, but it's like I said about the cosmetic surgery, it's not that I'm jealous that they have this new feature or this new alteration to their face. I'm jealous that they have the courage to just do that and not care what other people think of them, and to just own it and own a new way of being and own a new face. Like, wow. So get into the thing of what is actually triggering for you. What are you actually wanting, and what are you actually perceiving that you do not have? You're perceiving that you're lacking something when you're not, because you are the creator, so you can create it for yourself. So when you see that, when you see jealousy come up, don't judge yourself for it. However, get honest about it. What am I really judging? What am I really jealous of? And then let yourself know that you can have that. You can. And when we're constantly judging other people's successes, we're really blocking our own. We are, and it sucks. But it's true. And if we can let go of assumptions about how things are, or why someone made a choice they made, or all kinds of assumptions we make, really, we can live a lot freer life. The other thing is, with assumptions, we usually assume the worst of people, and it's a really nice practice to assume the best of people. As scary as that might be, because we might feel vulnerable doing that, but can we assume the best? And yeah. Okay, so yeah, you're really moving beyond the threshold of fear, like, truly, and there's a lot of, like, spiritual support around you right now, with Spirit Has a Plan and Guardian Angel. Yeah, it's quite amazing, really. I'm going to pull this one more card. Ooh, the dream. Something is revealed, insight, breakthrough. Yeah, I feel like you're on the threshold of this huge breakthrough, like, huge one. Intuitive communication, silent whispers of the heart. Yeah. Listen to the deeper voice, Spirit saying, not just to when that judgment comes up and you just go with that one. Like, listen to what that's really saying. You know, maybe what it's really saying is, like, I don't feel very confident in who I am right now. Or maybe it's saying, like, I really want to feel more free to express myself in bold ways. Or it's saying, you know, I need some like, self-approval from you right now. Like, I need you to approve of me right now. You know what I mean? And listening to that and speaking to that and working with that energy, something is revealed. You're going to have this huge kickstart, like, with the full energy as well, of your, like, life force energy, and really your ability to feel really, really inspired every day and have enough energy and enthusiasm for each day to, like, get things done and to work on projects and to stick to a routine or whatever it is. You're really gonna feel that's coming in for you in the next, like, 4 days, I'm seeing, but I'm 4 days from watching this, but then for 4 weeks after. Yeah, huge energy of that. So really channel it into whatever you wish to, really. And yeah, I see a shift as well for you in seeing seeing yourself as the powerful creator that you are, and not getting stuck in victim perpetrated. Because, you know, if we always identify as the victim in situations, eventually we'll be shown a situation where everyone sees you as the perpetrator, and it's really uncomfortable. But it's really important to surrender then that polarity and seeing that everyone has different ways of seeing everything, and everyone thinks that they're right, and that's okay. Just like we think we're right, and we think the way we see things is right. It's just humans. Alright, I love you, group 2. I wish you all the best. Hey, group 3. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so let's look at your cards. Take a leap of faith, grasshopper spirit. Yay! Divine discontent. This card talks about like when we feel in a period of like pain or darkness or depression or stuckness or grief. We've just ended something, or someone's ended something with us. And it really just talks about how, you know, there's reason for these moments in life, there's reasons for this emotionality that we feel, and that's okay. And it also speaks to kind of like when we have to be honest about like why we're unhappy where we are, and that it's okay to acknowledge that. Yeah, sun shining the light on things that are true for you. Like maybe you're unhappy in certain relationships with people or friendships, and they're not fulfilling you, they're not nourishing you, or they're draining you or harvesting you. And it's like there is a divine acknowledgement needed almost. Knight of Cups, 5 of Swords, King of Wands. Okay. I'm going to pull some goddess guidance cards as well. 2. Alright, so focused intention. Keep your unwavering thoughts, feelings, and actions focused on your target, and you will make your mark. It's funny because for some of you I'm feeling like this is a person that you, because we have Knight of Cups, which is Venus in this deck, and it's like, I feel like for some of you it's a person you have your eye on. It's just funny to think of hunting them down with your love. And then bright future. Stop worrying, everything's gonna be fine. Oh my gosh, stop worrying already. That's how I always feel that card comes through for me, like my spirit guides being like, will you please just stop worrying, everything's gonna be fine. But that is your message, you know, you have a bright future. So this is what I'm seeing for you. Right now, you might feel like you're in darkness, but it's literally already here for some of you, or it's like so soon for you, where there's just going to be this break and you're going to get this opportunity and you're going to say yes, and it's going to transform your whole life. And I know it's so hard sometimes to see that these things can happen, but you know that it can, because you've lived this before. You've lived these times, these cycles where things get tough, things get dark, things get dragged down in all kinds of ways. And then we have a breakthrough, we have an opportunity, something's offered to us, we have a gift, a blessing, or a windfall of blessings, or this one thing that we've been like hoping will shift for so long shifts, and it's all that energy's opened up, and that's exactly what's coming for you. And there will be a moment, and it might have already come, where you've had to take a leap of faith, or you will need to take a leap of faith, and you will need to say yes to something or someone, and it might feel scary because you know that it will transform your whole life, and that's kind of the point. It's meant to. Because, yeah. The other message is like, there's a sunrise coming in for you right after a very dark night of the soul kind of vibe. And you have kept faith, but you still have a little bit turned on yourself sometimes, but that's natural. As in, I just see that with the Five of Swords, sometimes you've maybe been like hard on yourself when there's no need to be. Or really like judgmental of where you're at, or feeling stuck where you're at, or like you should be somewhere you're not, or you should be like further ahead in something that you're not, or whatever the condition you're placing on withholding your own self-love and self-worth from yourself is. That's changing for you now, you know. I'm also seeing a message of embrace your creativity, embrace your masculine energy right now, like with Sun and King of Wands and even the Night energy. It's like heal through creativity, because I had channeled this message a little while ago with my friend, and I was like, the divine feminine is organic healing or natural healing, and the divine masculine is creative healing. And what I meant by that is that the divine feminine being natural healing means that a lot of the time it just happens in cycles, and it's just the way, you know, sometimes the tide goes in and sometimes it goes out. In a way, with the divine feminine healing, and when we focus more on that energy, we have to be okay with things, and there's a lot of acceptance and flowing with things. Divine masculine is creative energy. We need to get out there and create things, to express things, to construct things in positive ways in our life. And when creative healing is taking place, you know, it can look like all kinds of things. It can look like expressing yourself through art, or it can look like taking action to get out of an energy. So shaking your body, or dancing, or running around the block just because you're like, I'm sick of this stagnancy, right? So it's different, it's more active, and you do things with it. Divine feminine, it's like, yeah, things will be done, but you won't even know how it happened, it just did. Divine masculine, you'll be like, yeah, I did this thing, look at how I freaking created this, I'm so proud, you know? So it's different energy, and right now you're being called upon to really embody the divine masculine, and that might look like having a little bit more structure. Divine feminine flows, but divine masculine says, you know what, I really have this need to move my body every day, so I'm going to go for a walk every morning, and that's my structure, and that's my routine, and that's what supports my health. Or I'm going to go for a walk every night, or whatever. And putting that in and kind of making that boundary a supportive thing for you. So, you know, sometimes we don't even recognize how powerful like doing the smallest thing is, like going for a walk every sunset, and noticing, like, you might go to the same place, or you might visit the same natural setting, or walk the same path, but each time you do, you're different. You're different. You bring different energies to it. Sometimes you don't want to be there. Sometimes you do. It's just like when we commit to yoga practice, which, you know, I'm always falling off the wagon for, or whatever. But it's like that flow state we can get into when we're disciplined, when we're like, okay, I'm going to do my yoga practice every single day. And every time we come to the mat, we're different, and we feel different. And sometimes we hate it, and we don't want to be there. And sometimes we love it, and we really want to be there. And we feel all this like life force energy from it, you know. And then some other days it's like, we almost don't make it, we almost don't, and then we do, and we feel great. And sometimes we almost don't make it, and then we do, and then we're like, ugh, whatever, I don't feel any different. Everything is different, every time is different, but when we can show up consistently, then we can see that, we can see the naturalness of that, and how that's just, yeah, that's just the way of things. But the boundary and the routine supports us in a way that is profound, and that we have to keep investing in a way. You know, there's so much, like, I'm picking up that you really like the instant gratification, and me too. But sometimes, like, we just have to give ourselves the gift of working on something long term. And I don't know, I'm seeing that like structure for you moving forward is really helpful, in that you're just having this huge breakthrough, and maybe that's why the structure is important, because yeah, Spirit's saying it's like it will really help you to like maximize the potential of I usually don't like saying words like that, but this is what's coming through. Spirit's saying in order to maximize the potential of the opportunity that you're being given now, or you already have taken and said yes to, in order for you to maximize the potential of what this leap of faith can bring you in your life and the quantum journey that it's like really already taking you on, having some structure and having discipline in how you show up to that structure and how you commit with a boundary to your structure is really going to help you, because you're going to just like be able to like get so far so fast. And like, yeah, it's just amazing the potential that you're being offered right now. And it's not saying that it's not there for you if you don't show up in the perfect way. Of course not. It's there for you unconditionally, but you still have free will. You still have the option to not show up every day in the best way and use it all. And it doesn't have to be boring. Like, you can still have fun. It's just in certain ways you can self-sabotage those opportunities. And this is a very masculine, this is a divine masculine behavior, okay? Because it's actionable. We're doing it. We're sabotaging something. It's very masculine. It's very divine masculine. But we have to remember that we're the creators of our life, so we're sabotaging our own creation. And usually, like, when we sabotage ourselves, you know, it's pretty subconscious, but sometimes it's not even that subconscious. You know, like, you might have this, like, yeah, I'm not even going to go into an example because we all know what that feeling is, but yeah, so structure and support really help you right now, and you're just having this huge breakthrough, like, oh, you've already just had it, but it's really like around this time that I'm channeling, or whenever you're receiving this message actually is more important. I'm just feeling like it's either just been or it's just about to come. And there may be some like resistance to where you are right now, because I'm seeing that you're about to get like leapfrogged into this whole new reality, like a whole new physical location for some of you, a whole new relationship for some of you, a whole new job for some of you. For some of you it's all three. Or it's like, as well as that, for some of you I'm feeling like huge amounts of success, like beyond what you probably thought for yourself. And it might be overwhelming, and that's why having structure will really help you ground your success vibration and not like sabotage it. Not that you can, because it's your destiny, I'm hearing, but so like don't be afraid of your own self-sabotage, because that's just going to victim about it, which is actually a divine masculine one. Holy shit. The divine masculine is victim and saboteur, and the higher vibrational archetypes of this power polarity thing is warrior. So the power archetype of the victim is actually the warrior, and the power archetype of the saboteur is actually the magician, and they're all divine masculine pillars. And it's basically this idea of like when we're expressing like our victim, it's actually the shadow quality or the illusion of our true warrior. And when we're expressing a saboteur, it's actually the shadow quality or the illusion of our magician. And our magician tells us that we are the creators of our own life, and we are creating everything we experience, whether we like that or not. And that's why we've got to become bosses of our own subconscious mind, and we can't let this rule the show, because it's nonsense most of the time. So yeah, I'm feeling a huge windfall of abundance for you. And if you can't see it right now, well, Spirit's like, I don't really care, because it's coming in for you and it's going to shock the pants off you. Because I'm seeing like your spirit, like there's like spirit guides talking to me, and they're just like, oh, they can't see how amazing they have it about to happen for them. And they're just like, it's like that energy of like when you're like, oh, it's like it's like a Friday night or a Saturday night, and you're like, oh, I don't have anything to do, I don't have anywhere to go out, and like, that mood you get when you just want to like do your hair and be all pretty and like go out to a bar or something, and you're like, there's nothing to do, so you're just like sitting at home in like your pajamas and you're like eating ice cream, you're like meh, and it's like that energy. But Spirit's like, oh my gosh, if only you knew that like we were about to give you this invite for like the most amazing party and you're just gonna feel so excited, but you've just gone and sat in your pajamas and eaten ice cream, and now you're gonna get this invite and be all pissed off because, you know, you haven't showered that day, you haven't done your hair, you know, all these things that it's like you could have spent your time doing that, but you spent it like hating on your life circumstance when you didn't even know what was about to happen. Do you know? And it's like that energy that your spirit guides are like telling me, and they're just like, look, if you would, you know, wash your hair, then wash your hair. Don't be like, I'm not going to wash my hair because there's no one going to see it. It's like, well, someone's about to see it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, please don't not do the thing because you're going to be like, it's like when you it's like if you had someone throw you a surprise party and you like, you know, rocked up in like your sweatpants and you're just like, oh my God. It's like, be ready. Be ready for it. Like, truly, like if you wouldn't want to meet someone and you go to the shop like in your pajamas, you know, and you wouldn't want to meet someone in your pajamas, then don't wear your pajamas to the shop, because like there's someone like that, you're going to meet someone really soon, or you're going to have this opportunity really soon, or someone's going to offer you something and you're just going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed about the state that I'm in because I've been so pissed off about not having anything going on for me. Do you know what I mean? I can't even express it in more ways. So that's it. That's what's coming for you guys. And yeah, I really hope that this reading has helped to like inspire you, and like, yeah, just so you see like all the possibilities that you truly have. And yeah, I send you so much love, good luck, and bye.